Today, we are talking all about what's new at Universal Orlando Resort, including DreamWorks Land, a brand new summer tribute store, some new nighttime shows, and more. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Relive the Magic. I'm your host, Dallasthompson, and today we are talking all things new at Universal Orlando Resort for summer 2024. At least the things that I've gotten to experience. That's DreamWorks Land, the summer tribute store, and some of the brand new Halloween Horror Nights 2024 announcements. And there were a lot of them, so there's a lot to get to today. But before we do that, I wanted to invite you to follow us on social media, twitter.com/relivemagic, along with Instagram. Our username is @relivemagic, on YouTube, Relive the Magic. You can subscribe there. I definitely recommend doing that. That's where most of our content, including maybe you're watching this on YouTube, is found, along with on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and anywhere else you can get podcasts. You can listen to the audio version of this show. And then also there's a new way you can support the show. I am now a travel advisor, travel agent with Travelmation, and we specialize in Disney vacations, but we can book you anywhere. We can book you to Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, any other cruise line, Universal Orlando, Universal Studios Hollywood, pretty much anywhere. You name it, we can do it. Reach out to me, dallasthompson at travelmation.net, and I'd love to help you out planning your next vacation. You can do as much of the planning as you want. I can help you as much or as little as you want, but it supports me and it supports the show. Also, if you just want to fill out a form to find out some options about an upcoming vacation, I will include a link in the bio of the show on YouTube to a form where you can fill it out, Google form, and there's obviously no obligation to go through with anything, but we can get you started with a quote and with some options. And so that's a new way to support the show. I'm not going to talk about it a ton because I find that annoying when I listen to other podcasts, to be honest with you, but I just wanted to mention that because it's a new thing. So today we are talking Universal Orlando. There's a lot more that's happened in the last few weeks, but there's not enough time to cover all of that today. And so we are focusing mainly on what's new for the summer, along with my favorite topic of all theme park topics, and that's Halloween Horror Nights. And that's actually how we're going to start today's show, is with Halloween Horror Nights. There were 6 house announcements made in the last week. Starting last Saturday at a local Orlando haunt convention, Universal Orlando announced the first Halloween Horror Nights house of the year, Slaughter Cinema 2. And it's a sequel house to an original that has been widely regarded as one of the best originals of all time. It's kind of a compilation house of different fake movies, and several of those have become part of the event in years following. And so I never got to experience the first Slaughter Cinema, at least I don't think I did. And so I'm excited to see the second one. Without the context I have, I'll kind of go in fresh. I don't really know much about it, but I do know it's set in Cary, Ohio, or Scary, Ohio. Welcome to Scary, is my experience with that part of HHN lore just a few years ago. But the official description of this house is: if you're dying for a B-movie horror marathon, head to the Cary Drive-In, scream through scenes from creature features, grindhouse gore, spaghetti westerns, and more. And all of these announcements, they've pretty much only released these descriptions I'm going to read you, along with the logos. And so there wasn't any official press release. This seems like, from what I've heard, it was kind of a last-minute sort of deal. But I love it. I love that they've gone ahead and told us the originals now, since, the event starts earlier than ever. It runs August 30th through November 3rd this year. Still the Labor Day weekend, but that's just a little bit earlier, a few days earlier. I love it. But all that to say, I think we'll probably get more details leading into the event, but this is what we have now. So I'm just going to kind of run through them. Every day they were posted at 10:33 a.m., except for the Slaughter Cinema one. That was during a convention. And when they announced that one, we didn't really have any idea that the rest were coming this last week. And so that was a nice surprise. Monday, I don't usually get surprised by theme park announcements. I'm in the circles, and I usually can hear when they're coming, so it was a nice surprise. But Monday morning at 10:33 a.m., they announced another house, Goblin's Feast. And this one seems, at least in the same vibe as my favorite Halloween Horror Nights house, probably of all time, the Wicked Growth, the Pumpkin Lord one with Little Boo and the Pumpkin Lord. This one's called Goblin's Feast. And the description reads, "Welcome to the Goblin's Feast Tavern, and visit the Goblin Village, where a lavish feast is being prepared for goblins, hobgoblins, and witches, and you're the main course." And so these descriptions don't usually tell us a ton about the houses, but you can tell if you've seen the logo or if you're watching the video version of this show, there's a logo on the screen. It just looks like the Wicked Growth house from a few years back. And so I'm hoping that it won't be a sequel, obviously, but I'm hoping that there will be some things taken from that house that were awesome. And so this one's pretty high up on my list at the moment. And then the next day on Tuesday, this was an announcement I figured was coming, but I'm really excited for this next one. It's probably my most anticipated one at the moment because just back at Halloween Horror Nights 31 in 2022, I believe it was, there was an awesome scare zone called Sweet Revenge, and it was really the only scare zone in the last few years that I've really enjoyed. It was in the New York section of the park, I believe, and it was just candy themed, and there was a character called Major Sweets, and they're doing a house based on this original property called Major Sweets Candy Factory. You've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory. The delicious treats turn the kids into sugar-fueled fiends. And so I just love the aesthetic of the Sweet Revenge scare zone. And so if it's anything like that and it's anything like the fun that scare zone was, this will be a great house. And so this one's currently at the top of my hype list of the originals of what they've announced. There's been speculation on the IPs, and I might get to that in a minute, but we've heard none of those. And I always loved the originals, and I loved the scare zone, and I've been hoping they would do something more with it in following years. And so Major Sweets Candy Factory has been announced as that. And so hopefully it's as good as I think it'll be, and only time will tell. So we'll see. And then the next day, which I believe was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, the fourth house was announced, also at 10:33 a.m. At this point, it was very clear they were going Monday through Friday with these. By the way, there's 6 original houses this year. A lot of years it's 5-5 split, like a half and half between originals and IPs. IPs are like movies, games, things like that. But this year it's a 6-4 split, which is for a marketing standpoint, I don't know how that's going to work. Depending on the IPs they choose, obviously, that usually is what carries the marketing of the event. But at this point, I don't know that they really need a ton of that. And the originals are usually some of the best stuff at the event. So I'm glad to see there's 6 of them this year. Anyway, the fourth one is called the Museum Deadly Exhibit. You decide to visit the new folklore museum exhibit, The Rotting Stone, when an evil escapes from within, destroying everything in its path. This one seems to me like it could be the scariest one, which is great because Slaughter Cinema, Goblin's Feast, and the Major Sweets don't scream to me super scary houses. This one seems like it's going to be that one. I can just imagine the museum settings and the scares possible in those. That seems like that'll be a hit if they execute it correctly, which I'm sure they will. And so that's, again, we don't know much about each one. This next one we actually know a little bit more about. The Monsters of Latin America. This one came from Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood last year, which I got to go to. And it's an original. It's not Universal Monsters. It's a whole separate thing. And it was, as far as the sets goes, it was really great. It was actually at the bottom of my list last year at Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood, which is a surprise because for most people, it was number 1. And I didn't dislike it. I just really liked everything in Hollywood last year. And so I also only had a chance to do it one time in Hollywood. So I'm really looking forward to getting the chance to do it over and over again here in Orlando. And I'm sure it'll be different because we have more space. I think it'll just be what was there last year on a bigger scale. I don't think it'll be a carbon copy, but it's going to be a good one. Monsters of Latin America. And on our YouTube channel, you can find a walkthrough video from last year's house in Hollywood, kind of get an idea of what to expect. But that one's going to be good. And then the final one, it was kind of disappointing. I don't know the word for it. There had been some teases the last few weeks that kind of made it seem like maybe we would get an icon announcement for the year, and I don't really care one way or another, honestly, if we have an icon or not this year. I'm sure we will. I love when Jack is the icon. I really loved the Oddfellow icon last year, but we don't have. I don't necessarily need it, but it kind of seemed like that was where we were heading for this last announcement. Like, I figured like this last announcement would be whatever the biggest original is, whatever is relating to an icon for the event. But that's not what it was. What was announced is called Triplets of Terror. You're invited to the Barney triplets' birthday bash, but beware, they celebrate by recreating their family's murders. Prepare for a gory gathering. So this will be the slasher house of the year, it seems like. And the art just looks kind of weird, which is, that makes sense for Halloween Horror Nights, but it just, I don't know, it just seems odd to me, and that probably means it'll be the best one. That's kind of usually how it goes for me. I typically don't get super into the originals until I've gone through them. Usually whatever's on the website, I'm like, okay, that probably will be cool. But these sound interesting. I mean, I don't really react to a lot of the scares at Halloween Horror Nights the way that some people do. And so I don't really care if we have super scary houses or if we have more fun houses like Sweet Revenge and Slaughter Cinema and Goblin's Feast. It doesn't really matter all that much to me. I just care that I really love the sets. I really love the atmosphere. And so as long as they can deliver on that and obviously deliver some fun scares, I'll be in. Everyone's saying it seems like a budget cut year, and that could be true. I mean, Epic Universe is coming next year, and all attention is on that. We've seen some budget cuts around the parks, but I'm not super concerned about that. I think it'll be a great year regardless of these originals, but it seems more like the originals are the focus this year rather than the IPs, and that's fine. The IPs rumored right now, I believe, are Ghostbusters, which that'd be great. I'm wearing Ghostbusters hat right now for that purpose. I loved the first Ghostbusters house in 2019. That's in my top 5. I only got to do it once, so I'd love to see whether it's that house again or it is a one based on the newer films. That's fine. That could be the Cold House of the Year based on the Frozen Empire movie from this year. But it is the Ghostbusters anniversary this year, and so that would be really cool. And then I believe Insidious is also rumored for this year. And then A Quiet Place has been a pretty heavy rumor, and that would be really cool if they can do that one the right way. Like, if they can nail the no sound part of A Quiet Place. I don't know how they'll do that, but that would be really cool, and that would be something that I would be super excited for. And then Universal Monsters, I'm sure, will be involved in some way. I would love to see a Universal Monsters Darkmoor house, kind of leading into the new Epic Universe Land, Dark Universe Land, opening next year. I don't know if that's what it'll be or if it'll be something else, but I always love the Universal Monsters houses, and so it seems to me like it'll be a good year. But I don't know as far as marketing goes if it's the strongest IP year they've had, but I don't know if that's what they need. And so at this point, we just wait for the rest of the announcements. There's only 4 left. It's the end of May, and so we'll probably get 1 or 2 in June, and then another one in July. And then we will be good to go. And the event starts August 30th, so a little bit early. What's interesting about it this year is that the event starts August 30th. But on August, I believe it's August, I don't know, it's middle of August while I'm at the D23 Expo. They will be starting the Behind the Screams tours, at least the 3 house tour. And so when I come back on August 16th, I believe it is, I'll be able to go on that 3 house tour, but you'll get to see it early, which will be interesting. Sometimes they let you take photos, especially in the original houses, and so it'll be interesting to see if they still allow that during this early tour or not. And if I do, I'll take them, and I'll put some spoiler warnings on them. But so that'll be the first Horror Nights event I go to this year. Will be the Lights on tour Behind the Screams, and so I haven't done that in a couple of years, but it was a great time when I did it a few years ago, and so I'm looking forward to that. It usually makes me have a better appreciation for these houses, and so I really look forward to being introduced to at least 3 of them in that way. And then I'll be at opening weekend, August 30th. I'll be there August 31st. I'll be there the first 2 nights. It'll be great. And then several times throughout the season. Halloween Horror Nights is my favorite time of year, and so I'm really looking forward to it. We're getting there very quick. I'm definitely going in Orlando. Maybe I'll go in Hollywood, maybe not. I'm already going to California in August, and so we'll see if I can make it in October. But I love the Hollywood event, and so I'm looking forward to hearing about the event in Hollywood as well, which we've heard nothing about. We haven't heard any dates, we haven't heard any houses, nothing. And so I have a feeling that'll be coming in the next week or two. And so stay tuned for that. But that is what we know about Halloween Horror Nights 2024. What are you most looking forward to from that list? What are you hoping will come with the IPs? I was really hoping for Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think that's happening this year, maybe next year, or in the future. But that is kind of where Halloween Horror Nights stands right now. I think we'll get another announcement in a few weeks, but not anytime this week, but it'll be a few weeks. And so yeah, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, this last Friday, I got to go to the annual pass preview of DreamWorks Land. On our YouTube channel, I posted a vlog from that day. I think I got around to pretty much everything in the land except for the snacks. And I really enjoyed it. DreamWorks Land is for kids. It's for little kids. It is, for those of you who don't know, it replaced Woody Woodpecker's Kid Zone, which has been in the park for years and years and years, and has also been irrelevant for years and years and years. And so for years, it's been Super Nintendo World's going to go here. Never mind, it's going to Epic Universe. Oh, Pokemon's going to go here. No, it's not going to go here. And so it's kind of been like, oh, is anything ever going to happen to this area of the park? And about, I think it was last year or the year before, they announced DreamWorks Land was going to be replacing it, and we didn't really know what that meant until a little bit later last year. It's essentially not really an overlay of the land, but there's no new rides, there's no new attractions. They replaced the Fievel's Playland with a new playground. The Kung Fu Panda area is where the Curious George area was, and it's the same structure. That part's kind of a downgrade. I'll talk about that in a second. And then Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster was repainted and repurposed as the Troller Coaster. And so there's no additional rides, but there are some things in this land that are an upgrade for sure. And overall, it's an upgrade. So we'll just talk from the entrance to the back. And I won't talk for a super long time about this because the land is still in previews. And a couple weeks from now, it'll officially open and we can talk more about it then. And you can see all of it on our YouTube channel. But so when you first walk into the land, immediately there's two character spots. There's Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse. I don't know really who that is. Like, I know she's from the show, clearly. But that's about it. That's all I know. But she was there, and there was no one in line to meet her. So I don't know if it's just the pass holder crowd didn't know who she was either, or if she's, I don't know how popular that show is, but it must be popular for her to be there. And then next to her was Puss in Boots from Shrek and from, well, Puss in Boots, the movie. I met him, and he had a longer line. And then right to the right is the meet and greet with Shrek and Donkey and Princess Fiona. I didn't realize she was meeting until later on when they actually came out. It seems like they come out every 30, 45 minutes once they start. That day it started around 10 or 10:30, I believe. And you know that the Donkey meet and greet over the years has become more and more popular with the rise of social media, and so it's good to see him have a more permanent home with Shrek's house as the background. And so that's cool. I'm sure that'll be very popular, especially since you get to meet all three of them. And then right behind it, Shrek's house, and Shrek's house also contains a playground, a little play area, which as you walk into it, there's a little splash pad. Nothing grand, but it'll be fun for some kids that just want to play in a splash pad. And then this playground has, I believe, 4 slides. There's a big one. It's the green one that's themed to Shrek's outhouse. And as people go down it, it makes some fun noises. And I believe anyone can go down that slide, at least right now. I'm not sure how it'll function when the land opens. I'm assuming it'll be for kids only. And then there's some smaller slides, which those will definitely be for kids only. But there are stairs and there's a ramp for handicap accessibility, which is great. Up to the second level where you can go down the slides, obviously, and you can see some great views of the land, of the roller coaster, and over in the corner, overlooking the splash pad, are some water guns. So I noticed that if you were not in the splash pad, you could still get sprayed. So that could be some fun for people that don't want to get wet. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't know. And so that's kind of the extent of the playground, which that's probably all that is needed. Really, what was there before, I never really did it. Oh, there was also some like nets to like climb up and down, which as a kid I loved that stuff. So I'm sure the kids will love that. That's obviously not for me. I didn't play on the playground. I just kind of walked around, took pictures when there weren't kids there. Um, but before that was Fievel's Playland, which had a water slide with like a tube you could ride on, I think. And so that was more for everyone, but that's fine. The kids need something in Universal Studios Florida, and so it's great. I think that that is a win. And then you go out of that playground over to the left side is the Shrek's snack shack. I don't know. I don't remember what that's called exactly, but that has what has become very popular on social media, the Shreksel, which is the Shrek pretzel with this green cheese. And supposedly it's just regular pretzel cheese, and it's just dyed green. And so that's been very popular. It is expensive. It's like $12.50, which is insane for a pretzel. I don't know how big it is. I didn't get it. But it looks like a normal pretzel just in the shape of Shrek. And so if you really like pretzels and you really want a Shreksel and you really want green cheese, well, it's there for you. But really what I want to try there is called the Swamp Dog. And it is a hot dog covered in a I don't know what you would call that. But it has supposedly the green cheese within it. And it just looked really good in the picture. And then there's some desserts, I believe, and a little Shrek ice pop and a donkey ice pop, and then regular fountain beverages, beer. There is beer in the kids zone, which is interesting. But what is a big win about this snack stand for me is 2 new Coca-Cola freestyle machines, which the park is desperately needed more of, because they sell the freestyle cups that you can get the refills all day for not a bad price. If you don't know about that, you should definitely look into that. But that is a win for sure. The park has needed more of those, and 2 more is definitely a win in this area of the park that isn't usually super crowded. It obviously will be crowded for the next bit because it's just opened. But that was something that I thought was great, and it was a huge win. And so then the land kind of splits. You have to the left, you have the DreamWorks Theater. That's not what it's called. That's in Hollywood. I don't know. It's some theater, and they have the DreamWorks Imagination Celebration in there, which is a much better show than I was expecting. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect because I never watched the DreamWorks Destination show back then, and I've heard it's pretty similar. It's about a 20-minute show, which is really long for a show meant for kids. It was actually really great. For me, it was great for the family. It is a little cheesy, and it's a little long. That's the only real big things I would say. And then third, I don't think most people will care about this as much as I do. But the audio was kind of horrible. They played a lot of popular songs, and I think they probably should have gone the route of playing the songs and having the characters dance to them rather than having live vocalists. And that's not because the vocals were bad. The way they were mic'd up was really bad, and I don't know that they were using a headset mic that didn't sound great. I don't know if they could use a handheld just based on how the show works. But that's a small gripe for me. The kids won't care. The families really won't care. Everyone was really into it, and visually it was incredible. The screens around the room added a lot, and the lighting was really great, and it was just a really good show. It was just a little bit too long, but I don't know what they should have cut. I couldn't tell you. But I enjoyed that. I was pleasantly surprised by that. I think it'll be pretty popular. It is an in-the-round theater, but it doesn't, to me, have a ton of seating. So you'll want to get there early. Like, don't get there 2 minutes before. I got there maybe 5 to 7 minutes before, and I got one of the last spots. And so I don't know if I don't know how early you should get there. I'm sure that as it opens, it'll be more popular than it will be in later times. But it's definitely worth spending some time on and watching at least once, especially if you are a family with kids. You'll really enjoy it. And then that has a troll statue in front of it, which I thought was really cool looking. And then speaking of trolls, that's kind of in the trolls area, which is the middle section of this land. So you have that, and then you have this little, I don't even know what you would call it. I wouldn't say it's a carousel. Maybe it is. Kids can go inside of these little, they look like onions, but I don't know that that's what they are. These little things, and then someone can push it, and it'll spin around. And so I didn't really see any kids playing in it the whole time I was there, but I'm sure it's fun for some people. I don't really know. The Trolls area seemed to be a little lacking, but it is the one with the Troller coaster, which Woody Woodpecker's coaster was fun. And it is the same exact track, the same exact ride. They just repainted it, got a new ride vehicle themed to the Catter bus from the movies, which I was hoping that's what they would do, and it was great. And then added a little bit of theming. It's great. It's a great kids coaster, and it'll definitely be more popular than it ever was as Woody Woodpecker's coaster, at least for a while. And so that's fine. It is what it is. If you've ridden Woody Woodpeckers, you've ridden the roller coaster. But I did it. I enjoyed it. I didn't really wait, and that's probably because it was a preview. They did add ride photos, and I don't know that they had those before for Woody Woodpecker's coaster. I don't believe they did. They weren't functioning yet. I don't know how they look. I don't know really where they're taken. But that's fun. That's a fun thing for them to add, and it makes sense. It adds more value to if you get the photo package, which their photo package needs some work. We'll talk about that another time. But I thought that was great. I thought that was a nice little addition. They have little kiosks, and you can also scan a QR code just to directly see your photos. And so that's the roller coaster. And then the last section in the back is Kung Fu Panda Pose Training Camp, I believe is what it's called. And I actually saw on Twitter, I don't remember who said it, someone posted a picture of there was the noodles that you play with or whatever, and it just was like these straight lines that you just kind of push. And they compared it to the SpongeBob episode, Krabby Land, and that was pretty funny to me. But no, this area had what I would say was the biggest splash pad. There was a bucket of water I noticed that I don't think was functional that day because there's so many adults and people filming. That's probably why. I don't know why it wasn't functional, but I noticed it and I ran away in case it was going to go down. But there is one of those, and so it definitely is an area where you will get wet or soaked at some point. It does say that in the entrance. Just know that there's the human dryer in this section, and so when you see that, just know there's a good chance you're going to get wet there. In the back is what's called Relive. I didn't watch the whole show, but it is kind of like a Turtle Talk with Crush sort of thing. Not as good, obviously. And it's Poe interacting with kids, teaching them Kung Fu. That's basically what it is. So that I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun for kids. Again, I'm not the target audience. But it was cool. It was real-time stuff. The screen looked really good. Animation looked good. And so that'll definitely be something to check out. I kind of thought it was an ongoing thing, but I guess it makes sense. It has showtimes, and they'll come over like a speaker and say that Live is starting in a few minutes. And that's probably 5 to 10 minutes before it'll start. And so I'm not sure how popular that'll be. There was probably 40 people in there when it was going on, and that's probably more than will normally be in there. And so that was a cool thing to check out with your kids whenever you were in the land. The Kung Fu Panda area was pretty cool. And so overall, the land is really cool because it has these 3 different sections that are Shrek is an older film. Trolls is brand new, at least very recently new as far as popularity goes. And then Kung Fu Panda is kind of in the middle. And so there's stuff that everyone can enjoy. And as someone who doesn't enjoy a lot of the experiences or can't enjoy a lot of the experiences in this land, it still is a really cool place to hang out and enjoy the scenery and the snacks and the show. The show is really good. I'll watch that again for sure. And so that makes it an upgrade compared to Woody Woodpecker's Kids Zone. I would never go back there other than Halloween Horror Nights to get to a haunted house. And so this is a big win. The DreamWorks Land is a big win. There is another snack stand and Trolls. It has these 2 ice cream cones. And then there's a gift shop with some merchandise based on each of the properties. And so I didn't see any merchandise yet that said DreamWorks Land on it. Maybe that'll come at some point, but there is some new merchandise in there. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I could tell there were some new things. And so, again, overall, DreamWorks Land, that's a big win. It opens June 14th officially. Pass holder previews, I believe the last day is Monday, May 27th, which is when this should be posted. And so from then till the opening, I don't know what they're going to do. They'll probably just soft open it, if I had to guess. And so there's a good chance. If you're going to Universal Studios Florida before June 14th, there's a good chance you'll be able to experience this land. And so I'm looking forward to spending more time there. I'll be there June 14th for the grand opening. I'm not sure if there'll be anything special for it. Probably not, other than maybe some merchandise. But I'm looking forward to spending more time in this land, and I do want to see it at night. I don't know what it looks like with lighting at night, But it's a real vibe during the day, and I love it. They did add a new giant sign for ET Adventure, which to me is a good sign that ET Adventure is going to stay. Um, for years, people have been like, "Oh, is it going to go somewhere soon?" I don't think so. Uh, and they've been upgrading it over the last year. They added this big sign, and so that's great. ET Adventure is a great part, and I don't know if I don't know what land that's considered part of at this point. It's not DreamWorks, so it can't be DreamWorks Land. But that stayed. The SpongeBob store stayed. The pizza company stayed. I don't really know. They took down the sign, and so I don't know if they're just going to change the name of that. But it seems that food area is still there, and so Animal Actors is still there, and so it's kind of like past ET. That's what got replaced, and so I think all that other stuff will stay at least for a while. And so DreamWorks Land gets a big thumbs up from me. I'll be curious to see how families react to it and how kids react to it. And I'll be curious to see if there's a phase two with another ride, like maybe a dark ride or something, because that park could use more of those. Secret Life of Pets would have been great in that area, but it's not. That's not a DreamWorks movie. Maybe a Trolls dark ride or a Kung Fu Panda dark ride. There is a Kung Fu Panda ride in Beijing, but I don't think they'll do that. I'd just love to see another attraction or something. It definitely feels a little bit incomplete, but it feels right. It feels right for the target audience, and I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction to it. And they're building a whole theme park like this, a Universal Kids Park in Texas over the next few years. And so I'll be interested to see what that park is like. And that'll really show what Universal can do for kids and families with younger kids, because that's where they've lacked for years and years. And so a big win. DreamWorks Land is a big win. And it's something to hold us over until next year when Epic Universe opens, which we have some stuff to catch up on for that. But that'll come another day. And so there's one thing left I want to talk about today, and that is the new summer tribute store at Universal Studios Florida as well. The summer tribute store is based around these two new things happening this year. Well, three. One is DreamWorks Land because Shrek is part of it. But the other two are things that the park has desperately needed for a while. One being a new nighttime show. And that is coming soon. It's called Cinesational, a Symphonic Spectacular. That debuts also on June 14th. So I'll be seeing that on June 14th as well. And that's going to feature properties like Back to the Future, Jaws, E.T., Ghostbusters, and more. Minions will be in it, I'm sure. Some Illumination properties. They've actually said... they've said a lot about it. Let me see. As I talk about it, though. But it'll be a show with drones, fountains, and I think some fireworks will be in it. But I don't know. Let's see. Here's the list. Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Jurassic World, Jaws, Shrek, Ghostbusters, Trolls, Back to the Future, Universal Monsters, Transformers, How to Train Your Dragon, E.T., Fast and Furious, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Minions, The Mummy, and King Kong. And so it's representing all the parks, Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, and Epic Universe, but through the films, which is great. Past, present, and future attractions, it says. The Next Level Lagoon Show will feature 228 fountains that reach heights up to 131 feet, incredible 4K projection mapping, an original composition featuring newly arranged scores, and more than 600 drones, all coming together to envelop guests in a breathtaking display of unforgettable cinematic moments. And that debuts June 14th. And so I'm really looking forward to that. They've been working on that for years. And then another thing that they've needed for a while is a new parade, which debuts July 3rd, also at Universal Studios Florida, featuring E.T., Back to the Future, Jaws, Ghostbusters, along with Jurassic World, Minions, Sing, Trolls, and Kung Fu Panda. And so all that to say, there's going to be a 16-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Sorry, I was looking at that description. All that to say, they're really leaning into their classic films, E.T., Back to the Future, Jaws, Ghostbusters, as I've said several times. And so it made sense that the summer tribute store would be based on those, or at least those would be the properties represented with the merchandise. And this tribute store, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, it's my favorite tribute store Universal Orlando has ever done. It was awesome. It was like walking into an old, well, for me, Blockbuster, but it really even older than that with VHS. So there was that. There was an old arcade with some Halloween Horror Nights arcade games in there. Some of the props they used in 2019, which I loved that part of Halloween Horror Nights 2019. And so that was great to see. And there was just so many fun details in there. like some callbacks to Halloween Horror Nights and some teases for Halloween Horror Nights, some teases for this new parade, and some references to some old attractions, some newer attractions, like the Great Movie Escape had an advertisement in there. And there's just so much that you can look at. There were so many people there, I didn't get to even see close to even probably half the details in there. The merchandise was interesting. I'm wearing the jean jacket for Back to the Future and one of the hats that were for sale. There was some good new stuff, and there was some old stuff. And that's the thing about this tribute store that's a little off to me, is half of it at least is stuff that's been out for a while. And so if you're going for newer stuff or Universal Orlando exclusive stuff, you're going to have slim pickings, but I really enjoyed some of it. And I don't know if this jean jacket is new, but I really liked it, so I got it. There is a really cool ET shirt that I got. And, you know, there was some vintage Universal Studios Florida merch in there that's been out for a couple of years. And so it just seemed like it was a good place to put the merchandise surrounding these films. And so I'm glad they made some new stuff. But really the star of the show this time is the store itself, which is great. They did an awesome job on it. And it's part of the video that I uploaded with DreamWorks Land on YouTube. And as the days go on, I'm going to make some notes of the references that are in the store because they're really cool. And so I don't have a ton to say about the tribute store at this point in time, but it was awesome. It's themed, it says, to a 1980s shopping mall featuring 3 highly immersive mega rooms. The nostalgic mega video rental video store, a retro mega castle arcade, and the majestic tribute theater. What is the best room of this? It probably is the tribute theater, which is the checkout room, which is not typically the case. It really well represents in that room E.T., Jaws, Back to the Future, and Ghostbusters. And if you look up, it was so cool. And I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time in there. And so there will be some new stuff, it says, coming July 3rd. Or I'm assuming July 3rd. It says there will be all new interactive bubble wands inspired by Trolls, Minions, and Jurassic World that have fun features that allow them to interact with each other and specific floats in the Mega Movie Parade when it debuts July 3rd. So I'm guessing that'll come closer to July 3rd, but that wasn't there yet. And so there's more to come there. The custom stuff, like you can buy usually a piece of art for the tribute store. So I have one from a few years ago, a plaque from a Halloween Horror Nights tribute store. But this one, they're all usually expensive. They're usually somewhere between $90 and $110. And so they're usually pretty pricey. But this one, they seem to offer a little bit more, which is great. And so I did it. I didn't buy it until just the other day when I was there. And so it should be there in the next week or two. You can put up to 4 people on it. And it's a VHS cover. You can pick one of 4 custom ones. And you can put you and up to 3 people, including pets, on it. I just put my pet on it, and that's it. And it looks really cool. And then on the inside, you'll get some exclusive socks with the little VHS tape icon that they made for this store. And that you'll only be able to get those through that experience. And then also a membership card for each name that you put on there. I thought that was just for one person, but they were saying it's for up to 4 people as well. And so it's really cool. And I think that gives more value than just the one piece that's in the store. But having the thing in the store is really cool by itself. And so I love that they're constantly finding ways to improve that part of the tribute store experience. And there was a tease for the Halloween Horror Nights tribute store with the haunted house look from Halloween Horror Nights 30. So I wonder if that's just a callback or if they're going to reuse that facade. That's fine if they do. I really liked it. But that just gets me excited. It said August 30th through November 3rd. Usually they'll open it a day or two before Halloween Horror Nights. But yeah, so that's the next tribute store, and that is not in this location. This location is in the newer location. And so this newer location they've been working on, they actually, the first time they did it, started in what used to be the annual pass holder lounge, and now it ends there. And they started next to Mel's Drive-In. Which is great. I'm glad that they're trying to learn this location, and this is by far the best tribute store in that location. So they're getting the hang of it. This is actually my favorite tribute store I've ever been in, and so I'm excited to spend more time in it. I hope you guys will have the chance to go see it. They haven't said how long it'll run for, but I'm guessing it'll run at least until Halloween Horror Nights. Last year, the Summer Tribute Store ran until after Halloween Horror Nights had started because it's not in the same location. It'll be open for a bit, which is great, especially because it's based on these new additions that will stay past the summer. Also, a big store we'll be getting over the summer is the Epic Universe Preview Center. I don't know if it'll be a store. I'm guessing there will be merchandise in there, but it should have the Epic Universe model from the videos they've released, and I'm sure they'll do that once they announce their lands. I'm sure that's when that'll come out, when that'll open. But I'm really looking forward to that, and so stay tuned for more on that. I'm sure they'll announce that in the coming weeks. Along with, they have 2 more lands to announce details of. We'll talk soon about the 2 they've already talked through, which are How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Super Nintendo World. We'll go into a deep dive on those here in another episode soon. But they still need to talk about Dark Universe, which is Universal Monsters, which I think they're doing in June. And then in July, they'll probably talk through the new Harry Potter section. And so there's a lot to look forward to with Epic Universe. We got to hear about the Helios Grand Hotel. We need to hear the opening date, see when tickets go on sale, and I think that's all coming in the next couple months, leading into the summer Epic Universe store that'll open, and I'm not sure how long that'll be open, probably at least till Epic Universe opens. And then there's some construction going on in City Walk as well. And so this summer's a big one at Universal Orlando. You got DreamWorks Land, the new nighttime Cinesational show, Universal Mega Movie Parade. There's also a new Hogwarts Always projection show, which those projection shows on the Harry Potter castle are always great. And so that'll be a fun one to see. That also starts June 14th. And so there's 3 big things on June 14th. You got the tribute store. You got these announcements. You got more information coming about Halloween Horror Nights. And then late summer, Halloween Horror Nights starts. And so for the rest of the year, there's a ton going on at Universal. Over at Walt Disney World, you got Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening June 28th. My first ride on that will probably be June 13th or June 14th. I have pass holder previews for both of those days, and so that'll be a big week. And there's going to be a lot going on here on the channel, here on the podcast, and so stay tuned for all of that. It's going to be a great rest of the year with a great summer. After summer, we have the D23 Expo, a D23 Ultimate Disney Fan Event is what it's called now. It's actually in the summer. It's August 6th is when I'm heading to Disneyland, and I think it happens like August 9th or something like that. We should hear a lot more about what's going on in the parks, cruise line experiences, some new movie details with Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, Pixar, all those things. At least I'm hoping they do some big things there. I'm going on the Disney Magic in September. I have Mickey's Halloween Party tickets. There's just a ton going on, and it's going to be a great rest of the year, leading into an awesome 2025 with Epic Universe and the Disney Treasure. The Disney Treasure opens end of this year, but I'll be going in 2025, and so you can look forward to all that here on the channel. And if you want to book any trips for any of the things I've just said, again, you can reach out to me at dallasthompson at travelmation.net. There's a link in the description of the YouTube video. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts about DreamWorks Land, about the Tribute Store, if you've been to either of those 2, about the Halloween Horror Nights announcements, about the new Epic Universe announcements, what you're most looking forward to for the rest of the year. There's a ton of fun stuff happening, and so we'll be sure to bring all that to you. Thank you so much for listening and watching on YouTube, if you're watching this week's Relive the Magic podcast. We'll see you again here shortly for some more fun news and reviews on the new happenings in the parks. I'll see you then.